just want to head this way. We will introduce the candidates in ballot order. So if we can start with Mr. Darren Bailey. And then Paul Schimpf was unable to make it tonight, so his lieutenant governor candidate is here tonight with him, Miss Carolyn Schofield. Then we have Gary Rabine. And we have Max Solomon. And I want to thank all the candidates for coming out here tonight and addressing you guys, the voters. It's important that we elect good people in the primary so we can elect good people in the general. I want to thank all of you guys for the time that you've spent campaigning and the fact that you are here answering the voters' questions tonight.
Thank you.
So we will be asking the questions, and they will be answering them in ballot order. The same order that they were introduced in, they will answer the questions in that order, and then we will rotate who answers first. So Darren will answer first on the first question, Carolyn will answer first on the second question, and so on and so forth. So, without further ado, we'll introduce our moderator, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thanks to our candidates. I'd like to start with, for 2 minutes, an intro on why you feel should be elected, and just an opening statement, please.
Well, good evening, and are we on? Are we on? Can you hear me now? Okay, all right. Good evening, and thank you so much for coming out this evening. I feel at home because we're on a farm, so this is awesome. This is a beautiful place, and as Cindy and I and our team, as we travel Illinois, we're falling in love with the entire state because it's all about people, and the people of Illinois are amazing, and we deserve better, and better is coming, friends. So I am running to restore hope to all the good people of Illinois, and we're going to do that by returning safety to our streets. We're going to restore our education process, and we're going to support working families so that they can flourish and thrive again here in Illinois and be proud of Illinois, and that they'll stay and not leave, and that we can begin to attract business and more people to this great state. I'm a farmer, Bailey Family Farm, about 4 hours south of here. We're blessed that our 3 sons are keeping that going in my absence. And I love to remind people what farmers do. We farm 12,000 acres, corn, soybeans, and wheat, have a trucking company and an excavating business. Farmers fix things that are broke. Farmers solve problems. And farmers grow things. And I think that qualifies me very well here in such a great state of agriculture in Illinois. And I like to remind everyone that a little over 250 years ago, it was a group of farmers and common people that started and created this great free nation that we live in. I think they did a pretty good job, and I'm looking forward to building upon that. I travel here with my wife Cindy of 35 years. We have 4 children. We have 11 grandchildren. We've never left the state, and we don't intend to. I've been standing up and fighting for you since day one, and that won't end. God bless.
Yes? Okay. All right. I am Carolyn Schofield. I am running for Lieutenant Governor with Paul Schimpf. Paul could not be here as he is down in Central Illinois today, so you get me on his behalf. And really, I'm very fortunate, first of all, because I am his running mate. Since 2014, you may know that the governor and lieutenant governor have been on the same ticket. Prior to that, they would run separately. So this actually allows the opportunity for their governor to choose their running mate. So I've been very fortunate when I was asked to run for Paul's running mate. I am from McHenry County. I actually currently vice chair of the McHenry County Board, so I currently represent you for the last decade. And we do things awesome here in McHenry County. As Joe Thierio just mentioned, people from McHenry County are extremely conservative, innovative, they're risk takers, but they are leaders. And we lead so often here in McHenry County, and I want to bring that throughout the entire state of Illinois. I've worked on government efficiencies for a couple years. We've done it here in McHenry County. We can do it throughout this state. We can work together with every unit of government in order to do so. So I'm from Crystal Lake, and 2 days ago, I actually celebrated my 50th birthday. So I have been a resident of Illinois now for 50 years. And I've been married to my husband, Steve, for 25 years. We have 3 great children, of which the oldest graduated from the University of Illinois a couple weeks ago. I am a 30-year volunteer in our community, 20-year public servant, a 2-year cancer survivor. So I have been through so much, and I am so blessed to be standing before you today. Paul is from down in Waterloo, and he was a prosecutor for the Marines. He was the lead prosecutor for the Americans on the Saddam Hussein trial. He then was a state senator, and he has state and federal. I have local government experience, so he selected me because of that experience, and we can complete this ticket. So thank you.
I kind of feel like home here. That's because I am home. That's why. So I got to tell you, I'm running for 3 reasons. Their names are Lincoln, Sienna, and Raphael. The Harvard Milk Day Parade was awesome because they were at my side today. They're a blast. They got a little worn out. I wanted them here, but they're a little worn out. I got to tell you though, I believe that I'm the best leader qualified to run and win in the state of Illinois and be our governor. I've been building businesses for a long time, and I've been turning around businesses for a long time, and I love what I do. But I got to tell you, we have the best opportunity to turn around than any other state in the country, because as my economic advisors will tell me, this is the worst economic environment ever in any state's history. And when we turn this around, it'll be the best turnaround in the history of our country. And I'm very confident we can do this. So in our businesses, we've always had a moonshot, something that we can aspire to do and be. And when we reach that moonshot, we know that we'll be world class when we get there. And I'm confident the moonshot for us in Illinois should be that we have more people moving into our state than any other state in America. And I'm confident we can do it. By 2025, that's my goal. And to do that, what do we have to do? You guys all know the answers. We have to reduce our property taxes to be the average of the country. That means 1% of your value, your assessed value, is the tax you should pay. Think about that. It's a huge difference from where we are today. Property values will rise like never before. Second thing we have to do, we have to reduce regulation on small businesses so we stop smothering small businesses in the state of Illinois. When we do that, our state will turn around. Our state will turn around faster than any state in the country. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm going to do. What time is it? Yes!
Wow. It's Solomon time. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My name is Max Solomon. My running mate is Latasha Fields. And thank you, McHenry County, for having me. I am very grateful. Thank you. I want to say thank you to Leslie. She's here out there somewhere. Amanda, Stephanie, Leslie, Melissa. Thank you all. Thank you. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am that Christian, conservative, Republican man running for governor of the state of Illinois. And as governor, you would have a Christian, conservative, Republican in office in that order. Running as a Christian because we have taken God out of the equation. Remember in 2020 when the pandemic happened and J.B. Pritzker, shut down all our faith institutions and our churches. He called them non-essentials. Well, I disagree, and I disagree strongly. I'm running to say never again. Bring God back. What time is it? God's time. I'm a conservative because our values, ladies and gentlemen, evil used to hide. Our conservative values and culture and beliefs are under attack by the left. They used to hide when they did it. Not anymore, they're not hiding anymore. Therefore, we need to stand up and say, never again. I am running as a Republican because the Republican Party platform is the platform of God. It is the platform of small government, lower taxes. I've figured out why the Democrats are increasing your taxes. I'm going to fix it. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for sharing. Today, we're going to start with immigration. Do you support the completion of a wall on the border between the U.S. and Mexico?
Yes. Government's number one goal and purpose to secure our borders. That's it. That's the number one goal and purpose. This government is to protect its people by protecting our borders. So if we want to talk about illegal gang activity, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, and the simple fact that now Illinois is considered a sanctuary state. And I do want to remind you the city of Aurora was one of the first sanctuary cities in the U.S. Let's think about that. We must stop this inflow of activity coming into our state. And we must make it easier for these people who are seeking freedom, the legitimate ones, to gain their citizenship. Thank you.
Since I'm the Lieutenant Governor running mate, what I will say is, as Vice Chair of the McHenry County Board, I'm sure you're familiar with our ICE contract that we recently had, and we chose to support our federal government and the laws that we have here, and wanted to allow that program to continue to exist to support our immigration and customs. And unfortunately, that opportunity was taken away by the state of Illinois. And I would support the bringing back of allowing the counties and local governments to make decisions and supporting our federal government and housing ICE detainees and following the laws of this country. And I agree with Darren that we need to make it easier for people to legally become immigrants, to migrate to this country, but we also need to follow the laws of this country and encourage others to do so. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Solomon reminded me that this is a place where we're supposed to respect God in this great country. But we forgot to say the pledge. Can we say the pledge really quick? Can you hold the timer? Is it okay? Is it okay if we say the pledge? We'll say the pledge. Pledge of allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry about that. I know you guys are getting wet, but that's a pretty important thing. Thank you for reminding us. Okay, hey, finish the wall, right? And in Illinois, what we need to do is we need to end the sanctuary state status. It's ridiculous. We are the state where illegal felons thrive more than anywhere else now in the country, because now we've eliminated the communication between ICE and our police. We need to stop that immediately. I've got somebody coming to my house with a little fundraiser coming. If anyone wants to come on Wednesday night, it's a fundraiser, okay? But I got a guy that's the foremost mind in human trafficking. He's telling me we are the worst state in America for human trafficking into our state. We're the worst state for drugs as well. We're going to stop it with a Rabine governorship.
The answer is yes. Yes, build that wall as deep as possible and as high as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I know better on this issue. You know why? Because on the most important day, the most blessed day of my life, I raised my right hand and I took an oath and became a citizen of this great United States of America. This is the best country in the whole world, and that's why immigrants want to come here. Ladies and gentlemen, I came here with $40 and a hope, because I knew if only I could just get to America, it'll be all okay. But here's what I did. I picked a number. I got in line. I did it legally. And not only am I grateful for this great nation, I am grateful for its laws, including its immigration law. I am an attorney and I practice in immigration law. And when President Trump ran and promised to build that wall, it was a welcome, welcome, fresh breath of air. Let's discourage illegal immigration. America is a country of immigration, but legal immigration. And by the way, I'm going to close by reminding you, we are the best nation and we are the nicest nation to immigrants in the world. Take that from me. God bless you. God bless America.
Just like to remind our candidates, we try to limit to 1 minute for our answers. But bravo. All right. Following on the immigration path, the U.S. Constitution grants to Congress the responsibility to pass laws regarding the migration to persons to our country. The U.S. Constitution and federal laws are supposed to be the supreme law to the land. What do you propose to do as a governor of Illinois to deal with the certain localities that refuse to administer federal law?
The timer's right here.
Okay, and that's fine. I'm going to keep it short because we haven't discussed that. We're focused on issues that will unite us and not divide us at this point. And this one is really not germane to the office of governor or lieutenant governor at this point. So I don't want to answer on behalf of Paul. I gave previously before said my support for working with the federal government, as I think it's critical for our states and allowing our states and local governments to make that decision to work with the federal government and not taking it away like the state of Illinois has done to us. And it also has taken away revenue stream for us. It's jeopardized the safety in our communities. So really anything that will bring us closer together to allow that coordination and efforts to exist would be what we would support. So thank you.
So if we have a tyrannical government like we do today in Washington, D.C., we're going to respect the Constitution instead of them. And I think Governor DeSantis is a perfect example of somebody that's strong enough to do this, and I am as well. When we look at, otherwise, when we look at laws within our land, when we become a non-sanctuary state, if we have a city or that a mayor wants to be a sanctuary city, we'll defund him from any state funds if we have to. So we'll stand up for the Constitution at every turn. All right. So we'll use our powers in any way we can to really hold the Constitution, first at heart. Hey, what time is it? Yes.
All right, I'm going to keep it short. We follow the Constitution. The federal law is the law of the land, the supremacy clause, and the Constitution says federal law trumps local law. And as governor, every agency, every department under the executive will follow immigration law and cooperate with immigration and ICE.
So I agree with that. We follow constitutional law, but we also remember that states have sovereignty. So when the federal government passes laws and says that we must participate in illegal immigration activities, or that we must obey CDC regulations, states have sovereignty. So there will be times that I believe, based on the situation, a strong Republican governor will stand up on the behalf of free people and say, not on my watch, as I have done as a state senator. So thank you.
Not sure if everyone here is aware, but McHenry County had a contract with the federal government to house illegal immigrants who had been apprehended and to hold those individuals on behalf of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. This contract was overturned by the Illinois legislature and is currently being litigated. Do you support the unequivocal enforcement of all federal immigration laws that are already on the books? And do you intend to have the state of Illinois effectively partner with the federal government in the unequivocal enforcement of all federal immigration laws that are already on the books?
So I was a chairperson for one of the best sheriffs in America. Our sheriff, Bill Prim. You guys know him? He's a great man. He was totally against this defunding of ICE and moving them out. I spoke in front of the county board. We had many county board members that were actually behind this, behind removing ICE from our county. And the state, in turn, eventually got this done, right? Like I tell you, it's wrong, it's crazy. I talked to a deputy sheriff in southern Illinois who told me about his friend, another deputy sheriff. They pulled over a van with a bunch of Hispanic kids in the van, about 9 kids he believes under 13 years old, 3 adults. An hour later, after they could not get a hold of ICE anymore, there's no communication with ICE, they had to shut the doors of that van and watch 3 men smile because the boy said nothing. They had to watch that van drive away. They knew that they were being trafficked. They could do nothing. So we will have ICE back in our state. It's going to be a different place when I'm governor.
As an immigration attorney, I would have loved to learn more about that situation. But the answer is yes to both questions. We have to participate, and not only participate with the smooth processing of these illegal immigrants. I'm assuming that they're in the process of being either removed or asylum seekers. But whatever it is, federal law must be followed, state law must be followed, and if there's a contract, I would prefer that no state funding be available for such. It has to be federal only.
So the consequences of electing the wrong Republican governor into the position is what we witnessed under Governor Rauner. That's when Illinois first became a sanctuary state. So let's not forget that. We elect the wrong person, there's consequences. As your governor, law and order will be restored, and the men and women in uniform will have that right and duty to protect our streets as they see fit. The situation with a sanctuary state status, it's nonsense. I've stood on the House floor, I've stood on the Senate floor, and I've argued that we help people become legal citizens. And you know the biggest argument that I got? Well, it costs too much money. It costs $300 for the first initial application. That would be the cheapest investment I think that we would have in our future, is help well-meaning people become citizens and be productive citizens of Illinois.
I guess this will lead up to what I was inferring to before. I am the only one up here, but not only the only one up here, but in this race I can say I actually took that vote and supported the continuation of that contract because we were supporting the laws of this country and our federal government. And I think that the state of Illinois needs to continue to do so. And I'm also probably the only one that actually has read the lawsuit that had been filed as well, which very clearly states that the state can have, or the local government can have contracts with the federal government without interference from the state. And I still support that, and I think that that was what we were doing in McHenry County, was executing our right to have a contract with the federal government.
moving off of immigration and onto public pension liabilities. What legislation will you advance in the Illinois legislature so that the taxes our children and grandchildren must pay for these public union benefits will be minimized in the future?
Ladies and gentlemen, say it with me. CPR for Illinois. Constitutional pension reform. Illinois is in debt, and we're in debt up to our eyeballs and above it. And that's because we owe so much. And our pension debt is not even fully funded. Almost 30% of our budget, yearly budget, goes towards pension. And we're not even fully funding it. Article 13, Section 5 of our Constitution, the Illinois Supreme Court has already said it's a contract. It cannot be diminished or impaired. What do we have to do? We have to CPR, Constitutional Pension Reform. Ladies and gentlemen, we fix pension, we fix Illinois, and we stop the Democrats' insatiable appetite for tax increases. We have to stop that.
So again, I'm going to distinguish myself a little bit this evening as the doer, as someone who's actually already, addressed these situations. As a state representative and a state senator, I've already stuck my neck out on the line to create the conversation. I have yet to talk to a teacher or a Department of Corrections officer or a state police officer or an employee of the state of Illinois that can tell me that they are 100% confident that their retirement that they have earned and paid for is going to be there for them in the future. That's a dangerous place to be, and we must protect that. We start new hires off, possibly at 401k plans. After we start getting the fat out of our budget, we have money to apply towards pensions, and we stop double dipping of our pensions. One pension is all you should have. I'm the one bringing that conversation up. I will sit at the table. We'll come up with a solution.
On the question of what legislation would you pass, I think was, or how it was worded, what Paul really understands is that the office of the governor and the role and that the governor has and the powers it has, passing legislation is not one of them. As Darren mentioned, that's the General Assembly that can do that. So as far as pension goes, what we need to remember is it wasn't those that are in the unions or those that have earned the pensions that created this problem. It was actually the General Assembly that created this problem by taking the money from the pension and using it for other parts of the budget. So what we need to do is make sure that we fully fund the pensions. We change the way they are moving forward. Paul has a quote, all of the above approach to this, but we need to fully fund pensions and we need to balance our budget. And so I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
So we need a governor who can inspire all legislators to understand the dark road ahead if we stay on the path we're on, and inspire on what the change could look like when we do restructure pension. When you look at our pension, we're now the highest interest pension system. We pay more interest on our debt than any state in the country, about 5%. Our total pension deficit is over $500 billion. At 5%, that's $25 billion a year. In interest alone, right? Okay, if we had a sustainable pension going forward, a restructuring that's sustainable, we get average interest instead of the worst interest in the country. Average is 2.5%. So instead of $25 billion in interest, we would have $12.5 billion. Okay? When I talk about lowering property taxes, this is the only way to do it. We have to restructure our pension debt to be sustainable so we get average rates instead of the highest in America. And that's what we're going to do when Ray Bynes the governor. Got it?
All right, moving on to Amendment 1. This amendment to the Illinois Constitution was was passed by the supermajorities in the Illinois legislature. The proposed amendment is being challenged in the courts, but it may be on the November ballot. What are your views on right-to-work laws, and do you support or oppose passage of this amendment?
So this is not quite right-to-work laws. This is an amendment that insists on collective bargaining for any business that hires 50 or more employees. I voted against that, and I spoke against that. I believe that that's what I tell people all the time. I'm not anti-union. Stay in your lanes, but leave mom and pop and small business. Leave them alone and let Illinois flourish. Because here's the deal. If we pass this, it's going to restrict business coming to Illinois. And if we follow the models of every state around us, then we can get Illinois back on track. We've got an amazing state. There should be all the reason in the world for manufacturing and business to come to Illinois. And when we begin to attract them, we're going to grow our base. So the unions and private sector are going to have all the work that we need, just like every state around us.
And I have to apologize on this one because I know Paul and I have been meaning to talk about this issue and we just haven't because it hasn't been fully worked out as to what's happening with it. But what he would say is he is not necessarily in support of right to work because we're not going to get there right now in the state of Illinois. But what we need to be able to do is if there is a service that's done, people should be able to pay for it, but they should have the option of if they want to pay for it or not. So aside from knowing exactly the legislation and having that conversation, I don't want to expand any further on that. So I'll leave. So I don't want to put words in his mouth.
It's time we have a governor that understands business, that understands how to develop business, bring business back to Illinois. There's no way if we continue to pump up our non-right-to-work laws that we can get anybody that want to come to Illinois to start a business. In any case, I was a founder of an organization called Job Creators Network. I was the 6th CEO founder of this organization. Today we have over 400,000 businesses that are part of this. They're small to mid-sized businesses. I know that if I went to these businesses and say, hey, we're a right-to-work state now, I could get many of these businesses to want to be in Illinois. But when they have this on the horizon, right, legislatures and unions that want to push this to be a state where if you have 50 employees or more, you got to be unionized. Now, I'm a unionized company. My companies are unionized. I don't have a problem with that. But they need to compete. And we need to bring business back to Illinois. I'm the guy that's going to build our state so we can go to anybody like Elon Musk and say, we want you in Illinois, and we've got the place with the right rules, so you're going to want to be there. So, what time is it? Yes!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to vote no on that Amendment 1 in November, and I urge you to vote no. I do not support it at all. And here's the thing with me. The very term right to work, how can you be against that? Right? We live in America, right? A land of freedom, where every individual has the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness wherever, and that includes your employment. So right to work is part of the American creed. Nothing should attack it. Now, I'm not against union. I'm a member of the union too. I'm a member of Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Radio and Television Artists. That's a union. That's a private union. I'm not against unions, but I'm against being forced to join union. Just like I'm against being forced to wear masks or get vaccinated, let me be the decision maker.
On to gerrymandered maps. Governor Pritzker campaigned on a pledge to have an open and transparent process for preparing maps for the new legislative districts based on the 2020 census. The actual process was anything but open and transparent. Do you support legislation and/or an amendment to the Illinois Constitution to create an independent maps commission to handle redistricting in the future?
Yes. And I personally have passed petitions in the past to actually put it on the ballot that has been turned down over and over again. Because not only is the process to gerrymander, there's gerrymandering that goes on in the other administrative offices as well that will allow for that to be stopped. So yes, I am personally a victim of a gerrymandered district because they carved my house out of a district that I've run in before. It has to stop, and until it does stop, we will continue to have this partisan divide. We need to be able to work together to get people elected that represent the districts and not how the state wants the districts to look.
So what do we expect from a trust fund, California trust fund billionaire kid, right? He's a liar. He said when he ran that he would make sure that this would not be a partisan thing, didn't he? But yet he made it a totally partisan thing. So yes, of course, independent group that would do this would be the way to go. It's when you look at our map, it's the goofiest map in the country. Look at other states compared to ours, nothing looks as stupid as ours. So of course. But this is a governor that's lied all along. This is a governor for over 700 days, had us under executive orders, like he's the king of this land, right? He's got to go. We got to make sure we elect somebody here in this primary that can beat him. I'm the only person from Northern Illinois that's built my businesses all over the densest, the highest populated areas in Illinois, and I'm the guy that can win the general against this guy. I'm exactly the opposite of him. Exactly. Look at him. Look at who he is. Opposites, okay? I can beat him. What time is it?
Yes, I support independent map. I signed a petition a few years ago, the one that Carolyn was talking about that got kicked out by the Supreme Court. But here's what we've done in the state of Illinois, especially the Republican Party. We have allowed the Democrat Party and the Democrats, we've given them an inch, and now they've taken the whole farm, right? We have to compete. I am tired, personally. I live in Cook County, and I am tired of going to vote, and you see Democrats, and then Republicans. It says no candidate. We have to compete. We cannot give up. We cannot give up and just assume that the Democrats are going to win, therefore we're not going to compete. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 118 state rep seats and 59 state Senate seats. There's no reason why there can't be a Republican competing in each one of them. That's what I'm going to do as governor.
Here in Illinois for over 30 years, the biggest problem and the biggest reason that we set Republicans in the super minority is because of failed Republican leadership. I sat on the Senate floor these past 2 years as we were discussing fair maps and reminding Governor Pritzker that he campaigned on this. And you want to know the answer from the other side of the aisle? Well, they said you weren't too concerned about it 10 years ago when you were in charge. So it's time for the party who believes in freedom to stand up and set an example and do the right thing. So it's interesting because in 2017, a fair mapping program was developed by a professor at the University of Illinois in Champaign. The last 2 years, that professor has been on leave in Oxford in England. Any coincidence there? So the interesting thing is these remaps, they're going to backfire on them. They didn't do a good job. So.
All right. Now on to election integrity. Do you support election integrity initiatives such as the requirement for voter ID and the banning of ballot harvesting? And if so, what will you do to ensure that such requirements are followed in each county in Illinois?
So of course, I even signed the letter basically that would audit the vote, and I believe that's important. We audit everything else in this world. There's easy ways of doing it. So I believe it's important that we audit the vote. We understand with algorithms we can tell you exactly what looks crazy. You know, when 125% of the population vote, there's something wrong with that. But yet, we don't look at it, okay? So I've actually hired a team from a great man that's on top of this. His name is General Flynn. I've hired his team to be here in Illinois. So we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot in this primary, but we're going after it hard in the general, like nobody else ever has in Illinois. They were only going after the swing states before. I got involved. I got introduced to this team, and I said, I want you in Illinois. They said, Illinois is not a swing state. I said, no, but Illinois is the fattest, laziest state in the country. I got to believe it's the worst. They agree with me, and they're on my team. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you stories because I was a victim. Well, maybe not a victim, but I had to go through hell with this election. During this election cycle, here's what we've come up with in my camp. 5 things we're going to do. And to answer the question, yes, we support election integrity. There is no election without integrity. Number 1, on day 1, yes, on day 1, we're going to mandate voter IDs. Makes no sense. Mandate voter IDs. Number 2, we're going to purge the entire voting database of dead people. Number 3, no more automatic voter registration. Do you guys know that? They can register you automatically. You opt out. Not anymore in the state of Illinois. Number 4, we're going to make sure that we are able to go back and check the results of votes, of elections. We're going to be able to audit results. Without auditing, there's no integrity.
So again, over a year ago, I filed an election integrity package calling for mandatory voter ID, calling for mandatory expungement, calling for a 1% audit, and calling for automatic digital tracking of any ballot that's sent from the clerk's office until it gets back. Now let me make sure that we understand one thing. Joe Terrio talked about that a little bit. Friends, we have got to get involved because we already have control of the process. The county clerk is the sheriff of elections. So if you have problems in your county and concerns, you can go in and FOIA. We can monitor and track. If they're not doing the right job, there's where the fraud's being allowed at, and we are allowing it. And not only that, I want to encourage everyone here to serve as a poll watcher or election judge, preferably a poll watcher. Get signed up. We will put you in these high-risk precincts. We will train you, and we will monitor boots on the ground, election fraud for safe elections.
In my opening statement, I had said how McHenry County has set the bar and been an example that we need to use throughout the state. And exactly what Darren just mentioned about Joe Terrio, our county clerk, is what I meant. He is one of the ones in McHenry County that is a shining example of how things should be done throughout this state, because the county clerk is absolutely the one that holds that integrity process in their hands. And we need to make sure that we're electing county clerks with integrity, that are transparent, are willing to do audits, as Joe mentioned, and keep that election process sacred and the voting process as well. Because, and as a party, we need to unify and work together from the grassroots efforts to make sure we are overseeing those polls and that we are overseeing the process and holding our county clerks accountable.
What are your proposals to cap property taxes in Illinois and otherwise give property tax relief to our state citizens?
Really quickly, back on election integrity. Folks, did you guys know that there's no central database for voters in the state of Illinois? That means you could be registered to vote in McHenry County and then be registered to vote in Sangamon County, and they won't know. We've got to fix that. I just wanted to point that out real quickly. Property taxes, we need a moratorium. People are moving out of the state of Illinois because of high taxes, including property taxes. As governor, I would work very hard to put a moratorium on property tax increases. Secondly, I'm going to work very hard to make sure that you decide by referendum whether your property taxes are going to be increased every year or whenever you want it. There's no more automatic increases in your property taxes. We need security and be able to make sure that we predict our businesses and personal lives based on what's coming. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we need to fix pension. We need to fix pension. If we CPR for Illinois, we're going to have resources freed up so we can take care of other things. And then property taxes can be leveled down.
Let's make sure that we understand what causes property taxes. Property taxes are local obligations that are due. And if we take away property taxes from real estate owners and homeowners, well, it's just going to get shifted somewhere else. So what we need are good men and women running for the school board, running for county board, running for the township, running for city hall, and the rest of us are showing up at those meetings, holding our elected officials accountable. It's nice to have all this neat new stuff, but guess what? It's taxing us out of our homes. We have got to stop this. So in order to get this working, absolutely, a possible cap, possibly a 1% cap on property taxes, so no entities can increase it past that until we learn to live within our means. And that's where a lot of it's coming, friends. So we have that within our power now to do something about it.
As part of our campaign, Paul Schimpf and I have a policy proposal plan which consists of 6 points. It's called the New Start for Illinois, and one of those points addresses property taxes. And Paul has proposed that assessments could only be done upon selling of your property. And so people need security to know what moving forward your property taxes are going to look like so you can plan for your future. And at the rate they're increasing, no one on a fixed income can plan for their future. So this discussion is in the infancy stages, but would allow for people to plan and know what their property taxes would be, not only for this year, but for their years to come. And we realize it needs discussions, but those are being had. But property taxes definitely is in the forefront. And one of our points is safety and security, and people need property taxes to be stabilized, to be secure.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear my opponents talking about property taxes, cutting them. I mean, actually, this is the first time my buddy here said he's going to cut them to 1%, and I appreciate that because, cap increases to 1% more. Oh, okay. Well, he's still not there yet, okay? Hey, here's the thing. I'm confident we can crush property taxes to 1% of the value of your property. And I'm going to be excited about that, and everybody here and our kids that want to buy a property right now are going to be excited about that. Because our property values will increase like never before. We don't do that, like capping them where they're at or minimum increases. That's not good enough. We're the highest in America. It's not good enough. We got to crush our property taxes. The only way you do this is, as we talked about, we've got to go after our pension. We've got to have a sustainable pension to save the interest. We've got to do a lot of things, but we have to have a goal that we won't vary from, and that's it. 1%. I want all you to fix your minds on that. This will be a different place. People want to move in our state once again.
All right, let's talk about the state's unemployment fund. The Illinois legislature chose to leave a $1.8 billion shortfall in the state's unemployment fund and instead used the one-time federal government bailout money for other purposes. What are your plans to eliminate this deficit over time to minimize the effects on Illinois employers and workers?
Well, sadly enough, we have no choice in that. Here's what's going to happen this fall. SUTA and FUTA unemployment rates, employers, they're going to probably double. And if you get laid off, your benefits are probably going to decrease by 20%. We stood up, the Republicans did, and fought for that entire debt to be paid off because we could have paid it off. And Governor Pritzker and the Democrats chose not to. They chose to create new programs and spend the money elsewhere. It is imperative that we get our unemployment fund under control. Again, another reason not to come to Illinois and start a business. It is going to devastate business. And I want to go back one more time to the property tax question because I'm looking at the fire chief over here. You know, we've got to be careful until we find a new mechanism of funding our police departments, our fire departments, our libraries. We're going to have to be careful what we do with the property taxes.
First, what I wouldn't do, and I'm sure Paul wouldn't either, is take money from someone else and then claim that you have balanced a budget with it. Because we all know that money is very limited as to how many cycles we're going to see it for. And he has claimed that, JB has claimed that the budget's balanced. We can spend more money because it's going to keep coming in. That's not going to happen. Illinois doesn't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. We need to evaluate the programs that it's being spent on and utilize it for those that are critical. And that was one thing that vote, and as Darren again mentioned, was that all Republicans had supported using it to pay off, and they used the money to expand government rather than shrink government, which is what we should be doing.
Okay, so bottom line is this. You guys need to talk to any of your Democrat friends out there to understand what this guy's doing. He's saying that we've done great things, we're in better shape. He's totally wrong. All right? On this one subject of unemployment, we had a $1 billion nest egg, like every state should have our size. For unemployment, $1 billion. We burned that up. We loaned $4.5 billion from the federal government, and then we paid off a little more than half of that. Okay? And now, small businesses and employees are going to pay the price. All right? So when he talks about we're in better shape, that over $2 billion there, $2.5 billion there or more, is an example of how we went backwards in this administration. Even as we took on about $18 billion directly to our state and about $180 billion indirectly of extra money in our state, we still didn't pay this off. One of the only states in America. So when people talk about, oh, it's better than it was, tell them, bullshit, all right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to first ask, how did we deplete our unemployment fund? I'll tell you, I'll remind you, remember the pandemic? That's what happens. Oh, yeah. That's what happens when J.B. Pritzker told you and I to stay at home, shut down our businesses, shut down our schools, shut down our livelihoods, and then send us government money. We don't want government money. We want our own money. We can work. Just get us back to work. That's what we're going to do. We're going to replenish the unemployment fund, and we're going to get back together. We're going to get Illinois back on track. One more point really quickly on property taxes. There's too many government agencies vying for your tax dollars. We need to consolidate. With over 7,000 units of government in Illinois, we need to bring that under control.
All right, and what the people really want to know are, what are your plans to address the perceived level of corruption in Illinois politics and state government?
I find it interesting you added the word perceived in there, because it's not just perceived, it's reality. And we need, and this is my personal, Paul and I have not necessarily talked about corruption in government, except for it needs to stop. And we need to do it by electing people that, one of our points on our 3 policies, we have parents' rights, safety and security in our community, and trust in government. We need to restore trust in government. We need to elect individuals that prove their integrity and are trustworthy. And Paul and I have both done that. We have been representing the people of McHenry County, the people of Illinois. Paul had represented us as a Marine, and as I mentioned, as a prosecutor for the Marines. We need to restore trust in government, and we need to add consequences to those that are corrupt. We don't have any consequences, so they continue to do the same thing over and over, and we continue to elect the same people, or the people that are funded by the same individuals.
Ethics reform is a no-brainer. In business, if we allowed the conflict of interest that we see in our state, we'd be out of every business we'd own would be done. Couldn't survive. When we look at what's going on in Springfield, you know, a legislator can be done today and be a lobbyist tomorrow. There's not many states like that. I would want a cooling off period of 5 years. Many states have 2 years to 5 years cooling off period. 5 years seems like the right number. When we look at Madigan, the Madigan machine in Madigan, being able to pay his legal bills with his campaign fund, it's ridiculous. That's got to be illegal, right? When we look at our legislators having law firms doing business for the lobbyists and for the state of Illinois, that can't happen in the future. So ethics reform is a big deal. And if we just look at normal business principles that are legal, that work, it's the same thing. Unfortunately, we've made corruption legal in Illinois, and we got to make a stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing we have to do is bring God back into politics. Bring God back into politics. It is okay to bring God with you to the polling booth. Hold all your candidates accountable. Find out what informs their decision. Everyone here has a frame of reference. For me, it is my Christian faith and my Christian values. When you take God out of society, or when you take God out of schools, God out of every institution, then you create evil. You create chaos. Secondly, term limits. Term limits. Hold your candidates and public officials accountable to term limits. If the president can only serve 2 terms, so can any other office.
Where's the corrupt Democrat candidate Irvin when we need him so we can talk about corruption? No, this is awesome stuff. I've also proposed legislation. I had a 3-year revolving door legislation that if you left, you got voted out, or you left your position, that it'd be 3 years before you could come back as a lobbyist. And as well, we've got to start seeking men and women of honor and integrity and putting these in place. Term limits. I have a self-imposed term limit of 10 years as a House member or 10 years as a senator, but we certainly need term limits, because in the state, and I'm talking just state and federal, I believe your local units of government, you can handle that. So I look at it, you guys, God bless you for sticking this out. So this is amazing. This is patriotism. Don't get yourself sick, though, and leave when you need to, but God bless you for being here.
Our final segment, we're going to have 5 minutes for a closing statement. Please include what question you wish we would have asked you and what we can do to get you guys elected.
I wish somebody would ask me, where are you from, Gary Rabine? Because it's right here. It's my home. Okay. So what question? Hey, you know what? I didn't get it in. I got to get this in. But you know what? I had a great victory that happened on January 14th. Anybody know about that? The great victory. We won. We won the U.S. Supreme Court against Biden. When he put the vaccine mandate in place, part of our organization I mentioned I started 12 years ago, Job Creators Network. I went to our CEO. Him and I had a conversation about this. We were really bothered. We knew this was unconstitutional. We wanted to go after it. And so guess what? We talked to many lawyers, many law firms. We decided on a law firm. We then found a few other CEOs from across the country. We talked to many CEOs to try and join us as plaintiffs on this case. We found 5 others, all right? About a 3.5 month battle. We ended up in the U.S. Supreme Court after losing at the Circuit Court, 6th Circuit Court. We appealed it, and Judge Kavanaugh took it to the U.S. Supreme Court. On January 14th, for over 80 million working Americans, we freed them of the responsibility of having to take a vaccine that's not really a vaccine, right? An experimental shot. So it was a great victory. I got to tell you, I will do this the rest of my life. I'll fight for freedom at every turn, always. My goal is to do it as your governor. But no matter what, I'll do it the rest of my life. My wife was with me for 35 years of marriage. My wife was the most courageous, strongest person I'll ever know in my life. She passed away, and when she passed away, her worst years of her life, the biggest battles of her life, she never had fear, ever. Why? Because she believed in this guy right here. She knew there's a plan. She knew that this was part of the plan. She knew that the hundreds of people that were praying for her were getting closer to her God. My God, our God, right? And so here, what did that give me? It gave me more confidence and courage than I'll ever have the rest of my life. I'll never fear anything. And again, if we've got this guy on our side, who's against us? Nobody, right? Okay, so that's who I am. I got to tell you, we've got a great farmer here, and if you want a farmer as our governor, he's the guy, right? We've got a guy that can win any man's beauty contest in Jesse Sullivan. This guy can win any. He's kind of cute, I know. Okay, we've got the strongest. My voice is going. We've got the strongest Democrat ever in the history of a Republican primary. So if you want a Democrat, boy, we got Democrat Dick. All right, if you want him, we got him. All right. But I got to tell you, if you want somebody that's been in business for a long time, that understands how to turn around economic nightmares, we've got the biggest one in the history of the country. I'm prepared to take this on. I've hired the best economic team in the country's history. They're my guys. They're your guys, okay? And we're going to change this. We're going to turn the state around. And again, it's those two things. We all agree. We're all great people here. We all agree that we've got to fix our crime problem, and it can be done very fast. We all understand that we got to stop the indoctrination of our kids in our schools. No brainer. It's got to stop, right? My nephew right here is a champion. He will never be told because he's black that he's a victim, right? Will you? Never, or I'll kick your ass, right? Right? And again, I'm confident of this. I can turn our state around with great economic plan, and that's reducing our regulatory environment so that businesses in Illinois love being in Illinois. I can turn our tax issue around by lowering our property taxes and restructuring our pension like we know we have to do that, and a lot of other things, but take it to 1% to where the average of the country. When we're the average of the country, in the greatest location, in the middle of the greatest country in the world, our property values will thrive, we'll all thrive. Those two things, economically, we do those things, we're going to be in great shape, okay? So that's who I am, and we need a governor that can do these things. It's time for that. What time is it? Yes! 43 seconds. Hey, 40 seconds left. I'm gonna give it to my buddy here. Okay? You got extra 40 seconds.
Thank you, Gary. But I think he's the pretty boy. He's gonna win the male contest he's talking about. He's actually, I think you're more handsome than Jesse. Gary's a great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you. I'm not going to take 5 minutes out of respect for you and the rain. I stand here humble. I am truly, truly humble. I thank God for me. I thank God for you. I thank God for this great nation. I thank God for this great state. As I've always said, when evil shows up, the worst thing for great men and women of God to do is to keep quiet. The worst thing is to keep quiet in the face of evil. When we do nothing, evil succeeds. Let us rise up together. You ask, what can we do to get us elected? The truth is, any one of us, any one of the 5 of us, not the 6th person, Any one of us 5 will be a great governor, and that's the truth. Please go out, turn out the vote, 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 vote. Let us turn Illinois red. Let us turn Cook County red. Let us get this state working again. I thank you. May God bless you. May God honor you. And please don't get sick. Thank you. God bless you.
So, Max, I just want to set the record clear. Are you suggesting that everybody vote 3 times? You probably do that in Illinois, unfortunately. Friends, it is an honor to stand here before you. I can tell you that our biggest problem in Illinois is the simple fact that we spend more than we bring in. We have not had a balanced budget in over 30 years. We continue to borrow our way to prosperity. And number 1, that doesn't work. And number 2, we're headed to some dangerous waters because we have hyperinflation coming our way. So we're going to need a governor who stands up, who won't back down, who communicates to the people, who tells you the truth, who comes up with solutions, and who brings people together. I've served 2 years in the House, served 2 years in the Senate. I stood for you when no one else would. Stuck my neck out on the line, sued Governor Pritzker, and won. I stood up against the mask mandate to the point of getting kicked out of the House. I stood for you, friends, and I won't stop. I got called off of the farm to run for this nasty thing called politics because I wanted to protect the future for my children and my grandchildren. And this has now turned into a journey for everyone in the state of Illinois. Just a few weeks ago, our youngest grandchild began to crawl, and he's actually pulling himself up and on the verge of walking. I don't know about you, but I want to see him run and flourish in this great state. And we can only do that when we elect people who will not cave into this system and will not waver. Pray for wisdom, stand up for truth, seek it out, and at the end of the day, I can assure you this fall, Illinois is going to do something amazing when we oust Governor Pritzker. We are going to be the catalyst for change to take this nation back even in 24. God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thank you all for bearing through this rain. I feel a little guilty undercover here, but I apologize that Paul wasn't here, but I hope what you did learn was that on our ticket, you truly get a 2-for-1 with us. That I may not know all of the areas, but I do know a lot, and I have a great amount of experience, and you will find that in no other campaign that no other lieutenant governor is here today to represent those that couldn't be. So hopefully you'll take that into consideration. The one question I wish I was asked is what we're running on. What we're running on are 3 things, which are parents' rights, which everyone else is saying as well. But we have solutions to back up our areas we're running on. As I mentioned, a new start for Illinois. Parents' rights is transparency and curriculum. Parents need to know what is going on in their schools and what's being taught. Our parenting should not stop at the school door when we drop our kids off. Secondly is parents, not the government, that should be making decisions for their children, both in education and in healthcare. And secondly is safety and security in our community. I mentioned the one about property tax. The other one we have is supporting our law enforcement. And one thing we can do is we have our law enforcement, first responders, and corrections officers would be treated as a protected class under Illinois hate crimes. And finally is restoring that trust in government I mentioned. Paul is the only one that has the experience on the Joint Commission on Administrative Rules. He truly understands the role of governor, and he understands that reining in those administrative agencies is really where things can get done, because it's those administrative offices that are making decisions like mandates or the curriculums in schools that needs to be reined in, and you need a government who first thing will be able to do that. And finally, with trusting and restoring trust, is we should end the predatory practice of taxing on tax. Right now, our motor fuel tax prices are so out of control. We're paying the price of gas, we're paying motor fuel tax, we're paying federal tax, and on top of all that, we're paying sales tax in the state of Illinois. We need to end that practice, and you really want to see a savings, we'll start seeing that savings right away. So we have a plan, we have the integrity, we have the experience, we have the solutions. We are the ones that are focusing on these issues because they're not just Republican issues, these are American values. And what we really need to do and what you can do is we need to unite the Republican Party. And Paul can do that with these issues, not only unite the Republican Party, but we can get crossover votes in the general election because these are issues that affect everyone in the state of Illinois, not just Republicans. And we know in order to win in Illinois, you need to get the base Republicans, you need to get the moderate Republicans, and you need to get crossover votes. And we are the team that can do that for you. And we need, expanding on the corruption, we need to stop corruption here in the state of Illinois. And as I mentioned, in order to do that, we need to stop the same campaigns, the same people, maybe different candidates, but we need to stop electing those people that are continually backed by billionaires and millionaires that are funding those individuals that get rich off of those campaigns. And we need to elect good people with integrity and that you can trust. So again, I'm Carolyn Schofield, running for Lieutenant Governor with Paul Schimpf. We would really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
All right. I want to thank all of you for showing up here today. And I want to thank all of you for staying through the rain. Give yourselves a round of applause. I want everybody to give our moderator, Lisa, a round of applause. She did great and jumped in at the last minute. And then last, I want you guys to give all the candidates today a round of applause. Thank them for coming out and answering your questions.